Welcome to Music from Home, created by musicians of the Yakima Symphony Orchestra. I am the pianist for the YSO, and today I have two introductions I want to make. First, I'd like to direct your attention to this 7-foot Steinway piano, perhaps my very favorite in all of the valley. I first became acquainted with this piano when I was in high school. And then later, as a student at USC, I was granted the opportunity to do one of my master's recitals outside of LA. And so I chose to play it on that piano, which was then housed in the First Christian Church on 3rd Street in Yakima. It's now the Vineyard. It had beautiful acoustics, and I really enjoyed the beautiful tone of this instrument. Later, while this particular facility was being built, and we are in the Terrace Heights United Christian Church, I was able to house this piano in a Lower Valley church and played for services and did recitals for 3 years. I also would like to introduce you to Franz of Franz Piano Services. I first met Dennis when I moved back to Washington after my marriage, and I needed extensive work done on my 9-foot Baldwin. You know, people often ask me, how do you find a tuner when you're in a new city? And I always say, call the local symphony office, because the best tuners work for the symphony. Of all the players in the symphony, the pianist is the only player who does not tune his or her instrument. That is why I have asked Dennis to join me. Because whenever I'm scheduled to play piano at the Capitol Theater or elsewhere for the symphony, Dennis is also contacted. And his work extends far beyond bringing the strings up to pitch. He also makes adjustments with the pedals. He cleans out paper clips and pencils that might be making rattles inside the piano. He adjusts the hinges. And he also works on the piano bench to make them stronger. So, I would like to begin my questions now. Dennis, how long have you been with the Yakima Symphony Orchestra?
Hi, Anne. I've been tuning the pianos for the symphony for right around 30 years. It's a long time.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us what a typical symphony week looks like when I have to play with the orchestra?
Sure. The piano that you play is a Steinway L, and it's tuned 2 or 3 times a month, not only for the symphony but for the Capitol Theater. So there's not a lot of work to do, and so it's tuned before the rehearsal, and then again at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, normally on Saturday, for the performance that evening.
And what part of the instrument do you have to have access to if you're going to give it that kind of tuning?
Just the tuning pins and the keys and pedals, and check everything out. Not much more than that.
So do you tune with your ear or do you tune with a machine?
I start out with this electronic machine that tells me what my A is. And that's 440 hertz, A440, we've all heard that, but that means the string is beating 440 times per second. That gives me my A. And then all the rest of the piano is tuned to that A, by ear.
Now, how different is your week when a piano soloist comes to play with the symphony?
Okay. That's here we start out on Tuesday, and I spend a day or a day and a half with the piano, checking out all the regulation on the piano action, all the 88 keys, and cleaning the action, and then giving it a rough tuning, and also a rough voicing. In other words, take any brilliant or mellow notes, even that out with the rest of the piano. And then the piano is moved from the Seasons to the Capitol Theater, where the piano is tuned again and all these things checked. Also, there's a a practice piano there at the theater, a Baldwin upright, that is used by the guest soloist, either in his dressing room or up in the Black Box Theater. So that piano is tuned for that. And sometimes, quite often, the soloist will play that 9-foot Steinway for 4 or 5 hours so they can get used to the piano. Then the piano is tuned again for the rehearsal on Saturday morning. And at that time, I will know what the pianist wants. The tuning and the regulation is a given. That's understood. That's to be expected by the pianist. But the voicing can be done custom-made to the pianist's wishes. And so that's when that'll be done. And then the piano, it gets a final tuning after the Saturday morning rehearsal and that Saturday afternoon with the lights on. So the environment is the same as it would be at the performance itself. And that pretty much takes care of the preparation for the soloist.
Can you show us what you do when you work with the action?
Oh, I certainly can. This piano is a Steinway, 7-foot Steinway, built in 1926. And we pull the action out like this. And when you play a note, you can see the hammer comes up and it strikes the string. And inside here is, these are the whippets that are underneath here, all 88 of them, and the hammers like this. And there are about 1,700 or so adjustments to make with a brand new action. And the goal of all those adjustments, it's called regulation, is to make every key feel the same. And so it takes some real effort to do that. And you don't do it by measurement. It's done by feel for the fingertip, because this is what the soloist is doing. They're feeling the keys. And the goal is to have them all be the same. And then the action must have really fast repetition for trills, turns, and staccatos, and all those things. It's when it's set up like that, the key is not pushed all the way down to the bottom. It can fire right there. So it even makes the action even faster.
That answers it, yes. There's quite a lot involved. And one reason I wanted to do this is that I never see Dennis, or rarely do.
No.
We work at different times, but what we both do is very important for the final product. And I wanted to end with one short anecdote. I was asked to play at the Seasons, and it was a harpsichord. And so they had also hired Mr. Franz, the symphony had, to tune the harpsichord. And there are lots of little gadgets that set different combinations of sounds and different octaves on the harpsichord. So we had all those. I knew where they were. He had them all working. The first piece went by. I wasn't playing. It was time for me to come on and play the second piece, which was with the harpsichord. And I went up and tinkled a few notes. I couldn't play. Some little movement when they had just pushed it slightly had knocked something off kilter. I was just panicky. The conductor was up there. The people were sitting in the audience and in the orchestra. So I stood up with, of course, a terrified and not very wonderful expression on my face, looking around for help, and I spotted Mr. Franz in the audience. He came up, he made the little adjustments, tightened stuff, put a little wedge or something, and I was able to play the piece. So, this is what I want to thank you for. I want to thank you very much for sharing your interesting, unseen, but definitely heard work with us. And I hope that our listeners will have new knowledge and appreciation of what goes on behind the scenes whenever the piano is used by the YSO.